Hi! Hey guys, what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, movie content, and anything else in between because I like to do whatever I want on this channel, and tonight's going to be bookish content. For today's video, we are going to go over the books I read in the month of January. I read a total of 2.5 books, which isn't a lot, but I wanted to get this video out there anyway just so I don't accumulate too much for one video. Without further ado, let's get started. The first book I read in the month of January was actually an audiobook. I listened to it on an audiobook, and that is The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. This book is of ten Boom's time during World War II. She was part of the Dutch resistance, and she would help hide Jews in her home and just throughout the Netherlands. And then the second half of the book is also her time in concentration camps. I've read a lot of books about World War II. Rarely ever was it about someone in the resistance. So this is another point of view I got to read from. And actually a big theme with this memoir is religion. Corrie ten Boom was a Christian. It's a huge theme throughout the book. She often talks about like growing up, they always had Bible time. Her father read from a chapter every night. It was very important to her that she had a Bible while in the concentration camps. Weirdly enough, it was her religion that kind of made me like bring my rating down a bit, which I know sounds bad. But just hear me out for a second. A lot of the negative reviews on this book say that her overall message is that the more you believe in God, the more likely you are to survive World War II. It's weird because I see where those reviewers got that from. There were some parts of this memoir that got a little too preachy for me. There just were a few things in this book that kind of made me roll my eyes a bit. Like, it made me question, like, did it actually happen like that, or do you have like an ulterior motive for your memoir? But really, I think the message of this memoir ended up being just find love and beauty in the little things. I do think it was oddly inspiring that, for example, her sister learned to love the fleas that were on their concentration camp uniforms. She loved them because at least she's alive. But still, her main message was love the small things in life and to learn how to love again. And not to set your grief and trauma to the wayside, but more so to learn how to live around all that and to, again, to find the little things to appreciate in life. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this book. It's another World War II memoir I can add to the shelves. Then the last book I completed in January, which again is another memoir, Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. This memoir is about Frank McCourt's life growing up in the slums of Ireland prior to World War II. This book, quite frankly, is like one of the saddest memoirs I've ever read, but it's also one of the funniest memoirs I've ever read because it is a tragic comedy. Frank McCourt mastered the craft of tragic comedy because he takes something so sad, and yet can make you laugh while reading it. They're like, literally, just as an example, and this is gonna sound terrible out of context, so y'all should read this book. A kid dies of tuberculosis, and I laughed, but because of the way he worded it. Again, it sounds terrible, and I feel evil saying that, but just read it. Trust me, he mastered the tragic comedy genre. He would chronicle his mom's life sometimes, and it's just so, hers was the saddest to me. So his life was the tragic comedy of it all, but like Angela, his mom, her life was like the tragedy to me, just because it's just, you feel so sorry for her because he chronicles her life like starting from when she moved to New York. She had her whole life ahead of her, and there were so many different ways she could have handled her life, but then she had to have a shotgun wedding. She had a one-night stand with his father, got pregnant, had to have a shotgun wedding, and that essentially ruined her life. And it's, I felt so bad for her. Seeing his mom doing everything she could to help her family. I mean, she even had to stoop so low oftentimes, but it's like, yes, to them that's embarrassing, but like from outside looking in, I couldn't blame her. She did what she could to help her kids because no one else wanted to help them. So, you know, her maternal instinct kicked in, and I felt bad for her that people would make fun of her sometimes because what was she supposed to do? And I was just so angry at some of the adults in his life, like his aunt, his grandma, and obviously his father. Even Angela made some mistakes I was a little angry about, and then his father pissed me off. But the reason I think this memoir is so special to me is because that's just the reality of life. Because I don't want to say people were terrible, like a lot of them made bad choices, but I don't want to call them bad people. They're just people with flaws, living in a very, very difficult time in a difficult place, and this book shows that, what that could do to someone. Because like his father, I had a lot of mixed emotions about, because like yes, he was an alcoholic and would throw the money away and not give it to his family, but also in his own way, he respected Angela so well and would always, and loved his children and would always tell them, respect your mother, say your prayers. But then it's also like, if you love them so much, like, why are you drinking the money away? Why aren't you helping them? But then you also remember, like, being an alcoholic could be debilitating, so you feel bad in that sense, but then you also remember he's an adult, he's gotta work his issues out, but then you remember this, but then you remember that, and it's a whole thing, and it could be said for everyone. I feel like this memoir just captures human nature so well, just that we are flawed human beings, and this is how we handle bad situations sometimes. Yes, it is interesting to learn more about the animosity between the North and the South of Ireland, because one of the reasons his father actually struggled for work was not only because he was an alcoholic, but because he was living in Limerick, Ireland, but his father was of the North, and Limerick Island had this animosity towards the North, but then his father had animosity towards everyone else as well, because he would talk shit about Limerick. He didn't want his kids to have a Limerick accent. He would always talk shit about it. The differences in religion, because they would always make fun of his father for being Presbyterian, but then his father had opinions about everyone being Catholic. An aspect of this book I found interesting is that all the dialogue, there's technically no dialogue, like there's no quotation marks. It reminds me of Stream of Consciousness, which at first annoyed me, but after a few pages I was kind of digging it, because then it read like thoughts. It didn't read like a story. It read like the thoughts in his head, which I feel like made me connect to his story better. Something that is so interesting to me though, I read many a memoir by a man, and somehow y'all always manage to mention the first time you guys masturbated, and it becomes a big part of your story. I mean, he mentions masturbation multiple times, and whenever he was distressed, he's like, yeah, I went and did the excitement, and it's like, is that like y'all's rite? Is it y'all's rite of passage? Is masturbation that important to a guy's coming of age? I have to know. In all the memoirs I've read by women, I can't think of any where they mention masturbation, even though I'm sure they've done it. But men, y'all always sneak it in, and I need to know why it's that important. I mean, y'all do you. Good for y'all. Good for y'all finding your outlet, but like at the same time, like, why? We're at the point of this review that if I keep talking about this book, I'm just going to be rambling on about nonsense. So in conclusion, if you read this book, you're going to be reading about some heavy topics, but also you will be laughing your ass off at some of the way these things are worded. One of the greatest tragic comedies I've ever read, one of the best memoirs I've ever read. Highly recommend this. The last book I want to talk about, I am only halfway through. It is called Sempre, which means forever in Italian. I do not remember the author's name, but this is a mafia love story. A lot of people read these, and I've always been intrigued because I know they're kind of considered like dark romances. In this one specifically, 17-year-old Haven is bought by, what the fuck is their last name? By the DeMarco family. Vincent DeMarco has two sons, Dominic and Carmine, the most stereotypical Italian-American names, and Carmine and Haven fall in love. Yes, given that dynamic, it's just take it as you will. It's a mafia love story. You know what you're getting into when you read those. It's taking turns I didn't expect it to take, and I mean that in a good way. However, there is no reason this book should be 530 pages long. I'm 260 pages into this book, and I'm only halfway through. How? And it reads like it's too long. She could have shortened it. 260 pages, and I can already tell she could have shortened it. She keeps dropping these hints that are clearly important, but she's dragging them out, and it's driving me insane. We're also at a point where we're learning there's more and more secrets, and I know I just said it's taking turns I didn't expect. However, with the hints they're dropping, I'm gonna be really fucking pissed if the plot twist is that Carmine and Haven are related. I will be so fucking mad. But yeah, I'm only halfway through it. You'll probably hear more about it in my February wrap up. I just wanted to bring up the fact that I am reading this right now. So there you have it. Those are the 2.5 books I read in the month of January. I'm actually very proud of myself that I was able to read that much, especially because of how long Sempre is. But that is it for this video. Let me know down below any of your thoughts. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. Without further ado, I'm gonna peace out, and I'll see you guys later. Ciao a tutti.